Breaking news, the Atlanta Falcons have just been rumored to make a blockbuster trade on draft night for a pass rush future player that will help them anchor this position in the future. And in this video, I'm going to break down who this player is, what this idea or what this trade would entail, and if I think this is a good trade or not. Now, I'm going to get right into it. Reading you a tweet by J. Ben, a source that I find has been very, very accurate when reporting to the Atlanta Falcons. He says, "I emojis. I'm told Falcons have reached out to the Jets to swap 7 and 15 as they eye Jalon Walker. The player is Jalon Walker, UGA edge." Continuing in the tweet, front office wants to make a splash with pass rush and feel that Parsons is no longer obtainable. With Saints and Panthers both needing pass rush, Falcons want to beat them to Walker. If a trade happens, it'll be a draft night situation, and more than likely means that they'll give up 2026 first as well. A lot to unpack on in this tweet, but number one, I would like to say Jalon Walker is the guy that the Atlanta Falcons are eyeing, and this is somewhat not surprising, but it makes a lot of sense for the Atlanta Falcons to like that guy. He's a guy that last year was productive at edge and at the linebacker position, 6.5 sacks. He was a guy that pretty much led the defense, and not only leadership capabilities, but also when it comes to calling plays and when it comes to making plays. Jalon Walker's name was pretty much called every night for the Georgia Bulldogs. Jalon Walker, he's only 6'1", but he's a very, very, very athletic 6'1" linebacker. He's a tweener is what they say. I would foresee him playing a little bit of off-ball edge, obviously, and then a little bit of linebacker. He's a guy that plugs not only one hole for the Atlanta Falcons in pass rush, but also will allow them to plug that linebacker position. It allows them to get a little bit more athletic at linebacker. You bring in Devon Diablo, Troy Anderson still on there, but you also have Jalon Walker, you can't forget about him. And this team gets more athletic at a lot of positions. He's a guy that fills two holes, and I think that's why the Atlanta Falcons are very, very interested in him, especially if they're thinking about going back to that 3-4 Jalon Walker plays. He's a good stand-up edge player. Now, moving on. Back to the tweet. Front office wants to make a splash, but here's another big thing. Micah Parsons is no longer obtainable. We've heard Micah Parsons come out and say, yeah, I want about 40-something million. Also, I don't think that the Cowboys would be interested in trading Micah Parsons, because if worst case, if they don't get a deal done, they can franchise tag him next year and just kind of kick the can down the road until either somebody else kind of falls off the books or whatever. So there's really no urgency for the Dallas Cowboys to trade Micah Parsons. And Micah Parsons said he would be happy if they just signed up to a new deal, which I think will happen in the future. So Micah Parsons is gone. The Atlanta Falcons want to make a splash. They feel like Jalon Walker is that guy. And to get him, they have to move up to 7. Now, 7 is very, very important because picking at 8 are the Carolina Panthers, and picking at 9 are the New Orleans Saints. And J. Ben said in this tweet, the Atlanta Falcons feel like they need to beat out not only the Carolina Panthers, but also the New Orleans Saints, because both of those teams need pass rush. And I would totally agree, which also offers more validity to the tweet that the Atlanta Falcons are reaching out to the Jets to move up to 7 to kind of leapfrog both of those teams who Jalon Walker could potentially go to. Now, I also want to read this talking about the Panthers and their interest in Jalon Walker. And this is from Dave Canales. This is a tweet that basically interviewed Dave Canales, the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, talking about Jalon Walker. He says this: every single Georgia Bulldog we talk to, they talk about Jalon Walker. They talk about the accountability. They talk the way he pulls the whole group together, the way he plays with his head on fire. I think there's just some intangibles about the guy that are really special. This is the head coach of the Carolina Panthers talking about a guy, not only his intangibles, but how all Georgia players love this guy and find that he is one of the better prospects coming out this draft. This is also, to me, saying we have invested in this guy. We really like this guy, and if he's available, we have an opportunity to pick him. This is their head coach talking about it. So that offers more validity to the statement that the Atlanta Falcons are trying to move up to 7. Now, do I think this is a good idea? Because also, like mentioned in the tweet, the Atlanta Falcons will have to give up a first next year to get Jalon Walker, to move up to 7 to get Jalon Walker. Here's what I think about it. I think this is a good idea. I think the Atlanta Falcons are tired of just putting band-aids on the pass rush, and they've identified a guy who they think is the best defensive edge player in the draft outside of the obtainable defensive edge player outside of Abdul Carter. We kind of saw this happen last year with Michael Penix. And so far, that seems to be the move, the correct move. And so if the Falcons really, really, really think Jalon Walker is the guy, then I have no opposition to making this move. That's a lot to give up for Jalon Walker, but if he's a guy that performs, and not only is that intangible leader that a lot of people are saying, he can not only prop this defense up by his sack production, but also his linebacker production and also his intangibles, something that the Atlanta Falcons desperately need, especially with the departure of Grady Jarrett. Now, here's another thing, too. Let's just say the Atlanta Falcons do give up a first rounder next year, which they will probably have to. The Atlanta Falcons also will have the opportunity to have more cap space with Kirk Cousins off the book. Therefore, if they need players at certain positions, they will have more freedom and flexibility to go out and get guys in free agency rather than draft guys. That is somewhat, a lot of people may hate that, but that is the option, I think. And I also believe if the Atlanta Falcons are able to get Jalon Walker and he's that edge rusher that they think he is, then you basically don't need that first-round pick next year. Well, you do need that first-round pick next year, but it will be warranted. You would be able to find that player that you've been desperately looking for the last 6 years, and you give up a draft pick, a first-round draft pick. But if you find that guy, if you find that Micah Parsons, if you find that Myles Garrett, which I'm not saying Jalon Walker could be those guys, but if he is, then a first-rounder, giving up a first-rounder is not that much in the whole grand scheme of things. So, all this to say, the Atlanta Falcons, regardless if you hate them, if you love them, they are getting aggressive, or it seems to be getting aggressive, which is something that a lot of people said they wouldn't do. And I'm all for it. If they want to make a move, and if they want to go out striking out, trying to hit a home run, then let them. They might strike out, and Jalon Walker might suck, but he could be really, really good, and he could be that leader that this defense needs. So I'm all for it. We'll see. But if you agree or disagree, leave a comment down below. Let me know how you feel about this. And also, if you enjoy this hat, if you like this hat, the Great Barrier Thief, shout out to Dyson Daniels. Link is down in the description below. Go ahead and pick up 3 of these. Do me a favor, pick up 3 before they sell out. And like always, peace.